what's up guys? This is Will with the Wangzilla channel. Doing a quick video on the BMR Driveshaft loop. Normally I wouldn't do this because the car is mostly stock as for performance, but I figured I am in the middle of doing a Borla catback exhaust, which hopefully that video will be up soon. And I figured with the exhaust off, I might as well knock out a few chassis pieces that are much easier to do with the exhaust out of the way, or required to have the exhaust out of the way. So I figured not do it twice. I might as well knock out this install. And so here we are. Here we have the BMR Driveshaft loop. It's a couple pieces here. This is the main loop, part of the brace. These are actually spacers if you have a single solid drive shaft, which I won't be using since I have the OEM drive shaft still. And then a bag of hardware, and then from the website you can pull some instructions. I printed them off here, and they're pretty straightforward. I'm actually doing this install not really because I'm worried my drive shaft will break. I am mostly stock power, very minor performance mods, but I figured I'd have my exhaust off while I'm doing the Borla Attack catback exhaust install. So while I had the OEM exhaust off and before I put the Borla on, I had full access to what I would need to remove to install this. So I figured it'd be a good time to go ahead and just put this on, a few other BMR chassis pieces, and then I can put the Borla Attack exhaust on and not have to kind of duplicate my work. So we're going to go ahead and get under the car and I'll show you what we're working with and what we need to remove. Here we are underneath the car, as if we're on our back here, and you can see the drive shaft. One of the drive shaft looking braces, but that's not the one we're looking for. We're actually looking at this one right here. It's got 4 13mm bolts that we're going to have to remove, but additionally we're going to have to remove this heat shield here, which is 6 10mm bolts that we'll have to temporarily remove to gain access to the drive shaft, so we can actually take the drive shaft loop from BMR, and you're gonna have to kind of wedge it in there and then loop it around the top of the drive shaft. That's why we have to remove this heat shield and to get access to where we need to install. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the heat shield, this brace here, and then we will circle back and see how the BMR brace will loop up in here. And as you notice, the exhaust is missing. As mentioned, it's because you need the exhaust out of the way to gain access to this heat shield here, which actually deflects the exhaust heat, and to get up to the drive shaft brace right here. That's why we have to pull off that exhaust. And really you have to unhook it. You can do it at the secondary cats, but I believe the instructions tell you you're supposed to actually unbolt it in front of the primaries, I guess because it's easier. I do have one of the link pipes right here in the way, so that's what this is. The OEM brace right here has been removed from here and here. I have the heat shield loosened up. I'm going to see if I can maneuver and just kind of slide it as I need to. It does have, I guess these are cooling lines, probably for the differential or something running right here. And so I can pull them down, but it's kind of hard to finesse this heat shield completely out of the way. So I'm going to hopefully I can just leave it here and just kind of move it as I get the brace in place. Back at the my little mini bench here, this is the BMR loop. Here's the OEM brace, and you can tell difference here, just side by side. This is fairly bit heavier. This is just some stamped metal, and so what we do is it'll kind of install in the car like this. This will be the top part of the underside of the car. This will be down. The drive shaft, of course, will go through here, and then you're going to use these OEM hardware right here. These little bolts right here are going to be the ones that will bolt up through the hole here, through here, into the car. Now, we're not going to use these big bolts here or here unless you have a one-piece drive shaft, and then these, I guess, are used as part of the where you have to drop the transmission a little bit, I believe it said, and then you have to put some spacers in there, some other stuff. I'm gonna have to worry about that for this install since I am with the OEM drive shaft. And yeah, we'll get back under the car, get the hardware out and ready to go, and then we'll see if I can slip this over without having to do anything more with the heat shield. I have the loop in place, and I actually went and put it over in front of the shield here, and having it loose, I was able to push it over, swing it around, and then just slide it forward. Make sure the wider, if you look at these holes here, the wider one versus this one has to be the front part of the car. And then this will line up with these holes here, and then I can move the solid piece and then bolt it in place with these bolts here. And make sure you have the washer on here, and it is a T40, and they want you to do 25 foot-pound of torque on all four. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these lined up. The loop is in place, tightened but not super tight. I got my torque wrench here, 25 foot-pound T40. I'm gonna go ahead and torque them up. Then I will reinstall the heat shield bolts, and that will wrap up the drive line loop install. Of course, you will have to then reinstall your exhaust, which I will be doing in my exhaust video. So take a look at the exhaust video, mine, or I guess any of them out there, and how to put the exhaust back in, or an aftermarket exhaust of your choosing. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this finished up and then get outside of the car. And the BMR drive line chassis loop is buttoned up. 25 foot-pounds on each of these T40 bolts. Washers are in place, and once again, remember, the wider hole is only slightly wider, or is the forward side of the car. The little bit narrower ones here. Make sure that, you know, of course, nothing is rubbing on the drive line, which isn't. And then a heat shield is buttoned back up. I'm not sure the foot-pound on these. I don't think it really matters, as long as they're nice and tight, and you don't, you know, damage the heat shield itself. It's pretty flimsy. And yeah, so go ahead and put the exhaust back on, or finish whatever other projects you're working on, and swing by and check out my other videos. I have more chassis pieces, the exhaust, and everything else. So yeah, that'll wrap it up. Thanks a lot, and have a good one.